Welcome to Amazing Stories Unwrapped, the Facebook Live broadcast designed to encourage you, to inspire you, to equip you for life's success. Well, we're only 2 days away from Valentine's Day. I hope you have a sweetheart. You've got something all set for her. You know, I think the key to a long and satisfying love relationship is that old-fashioned word commitment. We live in an age that's challenged when it comes to commitment. It's a whole new field of psychology that deals with commitment phobia and relationship anxiety. According to a recent ABC report, the U.S. Census Bureau shows that Americans are waiting much longer to get married today. 1970, most Americans were married by the time they were 24 years old. 95% of women were married at age 30. Today, 1/3 of babies in America are born to unwed moms. 8 million children will go to bed tonight in a home without a dad. 4 out of 5 people in prison grew up without a dad in their home. The Center for Disease Control reports that people are increasingly testing the waters before they jump into marriage. 64.5% of Americans 18 to 44 have cohabitated with someone in a romantic relationship outside of marriage. 70% of couples live together prior to getting married, and yet statistics show the alarming fact that those who live together prior to a wedding ceremony have double the divorce rate of those who marry first, before they live together. When asked why they're afraid of marriage, Americans cite that having watched so much divorce in their parents' generation, they don't want to get hurt. They're afraid of getting hurt, so they move in together to make sure that everything's okay. The second reason is financial. They want to be secure in their career so they don't have to depend on someone else. This commitment phobia or relationship anxiety isn't new. Please allow me to share an amazing love story from the 16th century, the poster boy for commitment anxiety. The Secret Garden of Love is what I call this story. Jehan looked at life through a lawyer's eyes, cold, calculating, and rational. To this day, he remains the poster child for rigid dogmatism. His theology has been vilified for producing an austere form of Puritan Protestantism. Above all else, Jehan was a loner. He wanted nothing more in life than to escape to his library and churn out theological works. But he was a gifted preacher, and he seemed destined for the pulpit. Even so, he was determined to remain the lonely bachelor pastor. Yet his superiors begged their scholarly and unsentimental clergy to find a suitable wife. So the reluctant French bachelor began his search, conducting it in the most unromantic way by interviewing candidates for the job. He even announced with his characteristic efficiency, "I plan to marry a little after Easter." Well, the first candidate was unsuitable because she did not speak French. The second was 15 years older than Jehan and too plump. The third fell head over heels in love with the pastor, but after they started making plans for the wedding, he decided he didn't like her. He was so embarrassed by this debacle that he almost gave up. It was now 1540, a year into his laborious search. Jehan was 31 when Idolette, a young woman in his church, lost her husband to the plague. She spoke French, held to his strict doctrinal views, and was pleasing, according to him, to the eye. After Jehan cross-examined her like a prosecuting attorney, he pronounced her finally as the one fit to marry. Idolette was more than fit for Jehan. She would transform this cold lawyer-turned-preacher into a passionate lover. Both were frail and came down with illnesses shortly after their wedding. So the two were forced to spend quiet days at home together in their sickbed. They recovered to become a dynamic duo. Her love would empower him to change the course of history. He later wrote that Idolette was the faithful helper of my ministry, the best companion of my life. A tragedy would draw them even closer. Their first child together died after 2 weeks. Their second died at birth, and their third was born premature, only to die. Jahan's beloved Idolette was still in her 30s when she contracted tuberculosis, only 40 when she lay on her deathbed. Every afternoon, the pastor would hurry home to his dying sweetheart, tenderly carry the frail woman into the warm sunshine of their garden for sweet afternoons together. When she died, Jahan was inconsolable. He lamented, "My best life's companion has been taken from me." He would remain grief-stricken to the end of his life. History remembers Jahan Calvin by his anglicized name, John Calvin. He is remembered as the crafter of Calvinism, the promoter of predestination, the progenitor of Puritanism. His portraits show an austere and forbidding lawyer, but few people know the romantic side of this towering theologian, a secret passion born of a woman's love. Today, if you walk through a cemetery in Geneva, as I have, you will find his previously unmarked grave next to that of Idolette, their bodies waiting to rise together on Resurrection Day. On soft Geneva breezes, you might even hear a whisper that John Calvin would surely appreciate. Unconditional love irresistibly opens closed hearts. Or as St. Paul put it, knowledge will become useless, but love lasts forever. I love that story of John Calvin, a man that I've always appreciated for his theology, a man that's somewhat frightening, somewhat intimidating, a man that's often loathed for his harsh views of predestination, a man that no one would ever expect to be a lover or would ever expect to have such a passionate relationship. I love that story of Idolette, how this woman took a commitment-challenged man, a man with a relationship phobia who just wanted to be alone, and how she took him, and with her love, how she softened him and made him a better pastor, a better lover of people. You read his works toward the end of his life after Idolette had been with him, and you see works that are far more pastoral, far more caring about people. That's what a woman's love can do for you. We live in a commitment-challenged age, an age of relationship anxiety, an age of commitment phobia, where people wait so long to get married because of fear. They might get hurt, because of fear that they would be dependent on someone else. So let me just share with you today, if you have a commitment phobia, if maybe you're a single person afraid to venture into loving another person with a lifetime commitment, or maybe you're dating someone, or maybe you're even living together and you're afraid to make that commitment to say, I do, for better or worse, sickness, health, richer or poorer, as long as we both shall live. Maybe you're there, or maybe you're in a relationship that's a marriage relationship is getting very difficult and you're thinking about bailing out. Or maybe your marriage has grown cold and maybe you've given up trying or working at it. And Valentine's Day comes and you spend your time in the store looking for a card, and you try to find a card, and all the cards talk about how about all these sentimental things that you know aren't true in your relationship. So how do you deal with that? Let me just give you these things about commitment. First of all, it will hurt. Love hurts. Love has risk. C.S. Lewis was a bachelor for years, and when he fell in love with a woman that he would marry, he discovered just before the marriage that she had cancer. She was going to die within a few years after they were married, and he had to make a decision. Would he marry her, knowing all the pain he would feel if he lost her? And he knew he was going to lose her if he married her. And she said to him, this is the deal. She said, to the extent we love each other, will be the extent we will feel pain when I'm gone. And so I would say to you, the more you love somebody, the more you open your heart to pain. Somebody once said that when we give birth to children, when a mother gives birth to a child, She makes the decision that her heart will go forever walking outside of her body afterwards. And when your heart's walking outside your body, it's exposed to more pain. So you may want to keep it in your chest, and you may not want to give it to somebody, but I just tell you, to give your heart to somebody means pain. God gave his heart, he gave his son to the world, and what pain he must have felt as he saw his son dying on the cross. To love means pain. The second thing I want to say to you, that God has an order for love. His order is in Genesis 2. And a man and a woman shall leave their parents. This is commitment. We say in marriage ceremonies, and forsaking all others, do you give yourself only to him or to her? But after we make that commitment, then the covenant part, and they shall become, and they shall cleave together. They shall come together. That's the covenant. That's what we say in the marriage, having made the commitment, having forsaken all others. Will you then live with each other in sickness and in health, joy and in sorrow, in poverty or richness, as long as you both shall live? That's the covenant. And then the Bible says, and they shall become one flesh. That's the consummation of marriage. The Bible is very clear. First a commitment, then a covenant for life, then a consummation, what we would call the sexual aspect, the intimate part of romance. What we do today is we reverse the order. In a Hollywood movie, you meet in a bar, you go home and you consummate that relationship through sexual relation. Then you decide to move in to see whether you're committed. Then maybe after that, you will make the covenant of marriage. And we reverse that. It's no wonder that those who live together prior to marriage experience twice the divorce, because we violated God's order. And finally, I would just simply say this, that great relationships come with great work, come with great effort. We wish it could be easy. It's not. Joyce and I have been married for 50 years. And that 50 years, it just gets sweeter every day. We've been through a lot of difficulties. We've been through sicknesses. We've looked death in the face. We've looked financial ruin in the face. We've been through great pain. We've been through great sorrow. But in it all, we've never thought anything other than we're going to go the distance with each other. And that's commitment, that going the distance, that working at our relationship has made it better and better and better. And so on this Valentine's Day, I would challenge you not to be commitment challenged, not to have a relationship phobia, but to give yourself to relationship. Well, Valentine's only 2 days away. Get that card, prepare that special event for the one you love. We'll be back in 2 days. I have a very special Valentine's story that will, I think, even be better than the one I told you tonight. God bless you. We'll see you at 12:50 the day after tomorrow on Thursday afternoon.